Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Pain to Purpose show on Live TV at Status Network Media and Broadcasting. I'm Yashika McMorris, and I'm the co-host of the show today, and along with our host Tangi Rosemary, who is actually out today, but hopefully will be joining us from our live feed a little bit later on in the show. At this time, I would like to thank Jack and the rest of the Status Network family for allowing us to be a member of the media and broadcasting family. And today, I would like for you to meet my guests, Red Martin and Cassandra Burgess.
Hello, hello, hello.
Good morning, everyone.
So what I would like to do is for us to go ahead and get started. So what I want like for you all to do is for each one of you all to introduce yourselves, tell us who you are, and a little bit about yourself.
Ladies first.
Well, I am Cassandra Burgess, and a little bit about me. Had some past struggles, but through the grace of God, we've overcome those struggles.
Okay. So where are you from? Let's give a little background.
From Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
Born and raised.
Okay.
There. Basically.
Okay. All right. Mr. Red.
Well, my name is John Martin. They call me Red Martin. That's R-E-D-D on Facebook. You can follow me anytime. And I am from Sumter, South Carolina, and now I reside in Greenville, South Carolina. What else you want to know?
Well, today on today's show, we're going to be talking, because our show is called Pain to Purpose, we're going to be talking about the pain that we've endured that has brought us to our purpose of where we are now in our lives. And what I would like for you all to do is to actually tell the audience about that experience. What was that pain that brought you to where you all are now? I don't want to give it all away because I've met these wonderful people before. They were actually guests at an event, at one of my events, and that's why I had them here. I wanted you to hear their story and what they are actually doing now in the community. It is wonderful and it is awesome. So who wants to start first? And I want you to take us back to how you got to where you are now. So, and I don't want to tell it. I'm going to let you all tell it.
Well, I'll go ahead and go.
Okay.
I know she's nervous, so I'll go ahead and go. My name is John Martin. Like I said, I'm from Sumter, South Carolina. And ever since I could remember, since 3 or 4 years old, I didn't want to live. So I battled with depression my whole life. At the age of 7, I watched my little brother die. I threw a ball to him, and the dog knocked him in the water, and he drowned. And from that point on, the depression was like every day. I battled with suicide ideations is what they call it. And I tried to kill myself multiple times. Just growing up, not feeling part of, always being picked on, and really not feeling like I was loved by my family because of the fact that I thought they blamed me for everything that happened when I was little. So just growing up with that, and then never ever remembering a day that I wanted to live. Like 3 days in a row, I couldn't remember that I wanted to live all 3 days in a row. So battling with depression. At the age of 11, I was sexually molested by a babysitter. And that took me back to a deep place. And I had to find something. And then at the age of 12 and 13 years old, I started drinking. And that's what I found. It helped everything. It took away all
mechanism.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It took everything away. And
did your family at that time, did they know at that young of an age that you were drinking and doing?
Yeah, they knew, and I kind of went to sorted places where people felt like me, so I never really hung around my family after the age of 12.
Okay.
I was just basically in the streets, running around and doing what you do when you're out there drinking, and so hanging with the people that drank.
So you were kind of out there just on your own, doing
Yes,
your own
ma'am.
thing. Was your family ever trying to reach out to you during any of that at that time?
I would go home, but I would mostly stay with friends.
Okay.
You know, I'd stay away, and because I didn't want to go home to the abuse that I was receiving there. My dad was a former alcoholic. He died of alcoholism, and he would abuse me. He would beat me, and you know, physically, mentally, and everything. And so I had to battle through that, and so I never really wanted to be around my family.
Okay.
And then at the age of 14, he passed away. And even when I say he abused me, he didn't do anything to the person that sexually molested me, I still loved that man like no other. I mean, he was my best friend, my everything. And I think we kind of grow to that. We kind of grow to the people that abuse you the most.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so dealing with that, it was basically, that's where it all started.
That's where it all started. So you said 12, 14. We're
Yes,
running the
ma'am.
streets. We're not at home. We're doing alcohol. We're drinking alcohol, and now we're doing drugs. Correct?
Yeah, I didn't start using drugs probably until I was 28. And the only reason I used drugs then is because alcohol quit working.
Okay.
Alcohol was no longer my solution to the pain I was feeling inside. So I had to find something else.
Okay. During that time, were you in school or were you?
Yeah, in school I was always the class clown. I always acted out, made everybody else laugh because I didn't want to see you. I didn't want you to see me cry. So I made you laugh. And then if I made you feel better, that made me feel a little bit better about myself.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So take me on a little bit further now. We're 21.
Once I got out of high school, I left Sumter. I went to the Navy, and same thing there. I just drinking all the time, getting in trouble, and I got out. And you know, I've always been in the streets, so I did street things. I started selling drugs as soon as I got out of the Navy,
Okay.
and that took me up until, like I said, I was 28 years old when I first smoked crack cocaine. And during that time, I've had numerous attempts of suicide. I mean, from the age of 11, 12, I would go cut myself. I found out that every time I cut myself with a razor, it'd make me feel better for that moment. And so I started doing things like that, and I started trying to kill myself, taking pills and stuff. So, you know, the depression was real deep until I actually realized the alcohol wasn't working anymore. And then the drugs kind of helped it. It made me get through for the next 12, 13 years. And then that's when on March 23rd of 2000, I took a gun and shot myself in the chest. And I was sitting in my apartment at 12 o'clock at night, and I had already cried out to God. I cried out to mental health. I've cried out to everybody I could cry out to, and nothing was working. The alcohol wasn't working. The drugs wasn't working. So I walked off from my apartment, and I took a gun down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and walked into Cinnamon Twins Park at 6 o'clock in the morning after walking all night crying, and took a gun out and shot myself in the chest. And after that, I spent 57 days in the hospital, and that's the first time I ever really experienced loneliness, because 56 days in the hospital, not one visitor. And every time that door would open, I would expect my mother to come save me again or come walk through that door. And she never came. So, and it's not her fault. It was never her fault. It was the fact that, and I talked to her right before she passed away. I had talked to her about it, and she told me that the reason why she didn't come see me is because she knew where I was. She knew if the phone rang, her heart wouldn't have to drop because she was afraid to hear some bad news. She knew I was okay in that hospital, and that's why she didn't come. She just knew I was okay, because she always said she probably would have got me out of there, and then I probably wouldn't be on this path that I'm on today if it wasn't for that. So it was a wake up call, and it didn't stop, the depression or anything after I shot myself, because I started going to meetings outside, meetings and stuff, recovery meetings, and I would sit in the meeting for an hour, and I'd feel okay. I'd be like, oh yeah, I understand what they're talking about. I can relate, and then I'd go home and want to blow my brains out. So that's where I kept going in and out, because I told myself, why would I sit in here and feel the same way I'm gonna feel out there? So, I started a process of multiple suicide attempts, multiple hospital stays and treatment centers and stuff, and I just never felt any relief. So that's basically up till probably 2 years, 3 years, almost 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think you and I had a conversation one time, and you made the comment to me. We were talking about how when people make the comment, suicide is selfish. And you said something to me in a way and thought that I had never thought about it in that sense. Will you tell our audience what you told me as far as when people look at it? Because I'm going to be honest, when we had a conversation, I did look at it like that until you and I sat down and we had that conversation, which really changed my view on, me saying that and other people that say that now, because I'm quite sure a lot of people have never talked to someone who has tried to commit suicide, lived to talk about it, and then give their perspective on why that is, not a good outlook, or to say something like that to someone who is depressed and going through things like that.
Right. And whoever's listening out there, I want you to realize that people that are suffering with this deep, dark depression and are wanting to attempt suicide, when they reach that point, they're not wanting to hurt you. They're wanting the pain to stop hurting them. And it's almost like I've heard it all my life is, look how selfish you would be if you killed yourself. Look at who you'd lose. Look who would hurt. But never once has anybody said, I understand why you're doing it, because you're hurting. I wouldn't do this to my family. I wouldn't do it to my mom. I wouldn't want that kind of pain on anybody, but I also want that pain to stop hurting inside me, because it's an undescribable pain. And a lot of people on the outside think that the quickest fix is God. But it's a whole lot more than God. God can help you through this, but there's a whole lot more things you need to do than just go to a church.
It's a process.
It's a process.
Gathering a whole different, ideas, people, support, things. We'll talk about those things in a moment that helped you, having good support. It's a process of growth. I deal with depression as well. I've been on that same side of the fence with you, and not once until you and I met and talked did I ever look at it that way, because I was always, I always heard that, well, you're being selfish. If you did this, you're being selfish. And I didn't even have a response, to that, to come and say, well, I want to stop hurting. You all don't understand how I'm hurting.
Yeah, and we don't want to hurt y'all neither. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is we're hurting so bad. The last thing we want to do is hurt y'all, because that even hurts us even more. So people that are dealing with suicidal issues, the best thing to do is talk to another person that's have dealt with suicide issues and depression, deep dark depression, because it's I tell you, there's so many people can go to school and read books and tell you about mental health and everything, but until they've dealt with mental health,
Exactly.
there's not much they can do.
Okay, we're gonna let we have Tangi on the live feed. She's
Hey,
joining
Tangi.
us today. Hey,
Hi, Chica.
how are you?
I'm fine. Listen, that's amazing. Mr. Red, you have an amazing testimony. It's not a story. It's actually a testimony because it's something that you went through and you're overcoming it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yes, ma'am.
you know, congratulations to you for not giving up in the midst of what you were going through. But I have a question for you. I've been listening to everything that you said, but leading up to this point, when did that light bulb come on and say that I have to make a change? Not, of course, somebody else, because listening to you, nobody was ever there for you. So for yourself, when did that light bulb come on and say, hey, I got to make a change for myself and stop thinking that, you know, if I take my life, that it's not going to matter? Because believe it or not, God has assigned people to you. You know, that's why I feel like you have been able to go through what you have gone through. And if you give up, then somebody else may not reach their destiny of where they're supposed to go. So when did that light bulb come on for you to say, hey, I got to make a change. I got to make this right?
Well, on March 24th of 2016, the change came the day I met Cassandra Burgess. Or April 24th of 2016. I don't know why I said March, but April. And that's the first day I met her. And that still didn't change everything. It helped, but it didn't change. It took it took 2 years for it actually to change in me, because of what happened next. Was I was still wanting to attempt suicide. I still woke up every day wanting to die, even with this beautiful young lady beside me and her daughter in my life. Things that I've always wanted, and I had it right here, but I still wanted to die because I didn't feel good about myself, and I had a lot of trash inside. And until I went to this place called the Coffee Underground, and it's where a lot of poets, they go on Sunday night at 7 o'clock, and they do poetry. And what happened was, I went there that night with every intention in the next couple of days to blow my brains out. But what I heard there was people telling my story on a stage, and nobody was judging them. Nobody was saying, well, look what you're going to do if you do this to me. So I went there, and I realized that I could start writing this stuff out, and I could get on stage and get in a atmosphere like this and tell my story, because I never realized that my story would help anybody. I never realized that anything I said people wanted to listen to, because I've always been shut out my whole life. And so once I started writing that stuff out, our relationship changed. Once I started getting all that trash out, everything started changing. I mean, I told you before that I couldn't remember 3 days without wanting to live. And then I noticed, after writing all this stuff out and getting up on that stage, I noticed a week had been gone by that I didn't want to die. And then 2 months, then 3 months, and then it's been almost a year now, and I haven't wanted to kill myself. And it's got a lot to do with her, but it's also got a lot to do with the poetry and the people like D-Dove and Moody Black and the Johnny C's and stuff, that they treat me like they're their family, and they took me in, and it's just a beautiful thing. It really is.
Right. So I tell people all the time that writing is so beneficial. It's sort of like a stress reliever, because you know, I can relate to a lot of the things that you were saying. I also contemplated suicide before, when they was trying to charge my oldest son with double murder, and he didn't do it. And they were seeking the death penalty for him. But at that time, excuse me, I've always been in church. So I've always had a relationship with God. But at that time, I didn't know how to handle what I was going through, because I was just lost in the emotions of what was going on. So once I found myself and was able to give it over to God, and the pastor began, came and found me where I was, and she began to pour into me, I was able to pick myself back up and realize that it was in the midst of that pain that God began to birth my purpose. And we don't see that at the time when we're going through. We don't know what God is getting ready to do with the pain that we're going through. But if we don't give up in the process, then he can use everything negative that we have gone through to build us and also to help other people live in their greater purpose as well. So I just congratulate you, man. I'm going to call you man of God because, if you wasn't, you wouldn't be here.
Right.
So I just encourage you to continue to tell your story, share your story, however you can get it out there, because so many people need to hear what you went through so that they, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right.
Well, I would like
Awesome.
oh, go ahead, Tangie. You were going to say something
done.
else? Oh. I wanted to now talk with Miss Burgess for a moment, because he said that when you came into his life, I want to hear a little bit about that story, as far as with getting him from where he was to where he is now. And what could you say, because, I dealt with depression too, and I know with my husband being very supportive, I'd like for you to tell the audience what you all went through, or how you did in supporting, or what experience or examples would you give to tell people what they can do when they have someone in this situation?
For me, it was more of listening, not giving advice. Because some people are quick to give advice on what to do. But for me, it's more of listening and kind of observing. Slow to speak, Again, when we first met, I never knew it was going to end up like this as a relationship.
Taking us to that. Look, can we all hear about that a little bit?
I'll let him tell the story. Because his story is better than mine.
Okay, but then after he tells his story, we're gonna go back to you. Okay, so Red, we're gonna let you tell the story.
Tell the story, Red, 'cause I'm ready.
I'm gonna tell it.
Okay, tell the story.
All right. I was driving down Lawrence Road on my 50 cc's moped. 50 cc's, y'all. I had power in that thing. It was doing all but 22 miles per hour. And this young lady rode up beside me in this, I think it's a 450 SGL Mercedes. And, being me, who I am, I said, holla at your boy. And I figured she didn't want me for my money when she pulled over. So we pulled over, we exchanged numbers, and that's how everything started in my eyes.
I love it.
That's so cute.
Cause, but that ain't really how it happened. But that's the story. Sounds a whole lot better to me.
Look, he pulled that one out real quick, didn't he? I'm sitting up here looking, picturing on the moped in the drive, but yeah, I saw it. I saw it.
No, what actually happened was we both were working at the Greenville Drive, the baseball stadium. Mm-hmm. I was working concessions. He was working the team store. Mm-hmm. The team store had a jacket in there that I really liked, and they didn't have my size. So him, being the charmer that he is, let me get your number, and I'll see if we have it up here in the kiosk. So me, not thinking anything about it, okay. Never got the jacket, though.
That was slick, Red. That was slick.
You got more than the jacket.
Oh, okay. So he slid on in.
Yeah.
I give him some points for that one. You got some points for that one. You slid on in on that.
She hit the bell.
Right.
That's see, y'all fail to realize her story ain't told all the way now.
So
because
How many times I came in
She
the store?
came in that store like 5 times checking for that same
Oh,
jacket.
that she knew wasn't already there.
Yeah.
Okay, so see, Cassandra,
She
you
knew
didn't
that-
tell all of.
She knew that jacket wasn't there last year.
And still coming in asking for it. So I got it now. I got it. Trying to tell me bits and pieces. Can't do that on our show. We don't know the bits
I'm
and
gonna
pieces.
tell it all.
Tell it all. Okay, so after getting together and you saying doing a lot of listening and supporting,
Yeah.
when did you start to notice that change? Was it, or what changes did you notice?
I didn't notice them right off because he held them in, and he, as he would say, he put a mask on until he was alone by himself. That's when he took the mask off. I knew something was wrong maybe about 2 months into the relationship when he excluded himself from me. He turned his phone off, wouldn't answer my calls. So I was like, is he sick? What's going on? And so I stopped by the house. Wouldn't let me in. Wouldn't say anything. And one day I happened to be on my way to work, and I saw him, and he was on his moped.
Okay, that part of the story was true.
Yeah.
The moped.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did have a moped.
So I called him from an unknown number, and he answered. And I was like, what is going on? He's like, I'm not well right now. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I said, well, tell me what's going on. He said, no, I don't want to talk to anybody. So I let that pass. I mean, I kept trying to reach out to him, trying to talk to him, send him messages, nothing. And so finally, again, I called him from an unknown number. He said, I'll call you back. I was like, he's not going to call me back. He's not going to call me back. And he did call me back. Okay. And from then on, it's just been, for me, a listening process.
Okay.
Trying to get him to talk more about his feelings, getting those feelings out, trying to express himself more.
Okay. And he's doing
better.
He's doing better at it. And I can totally, I understand where he's coming from, because that's how I was. Brian would tell me, like, I put myself in a glass cage and I just wouldn't let anybody in. And, it was just things that were joyful doing, with your kids and everything. You just withdraw. And really, people don't understand when it comes to depression and mental illness, we are battling. There's a battle going on in our minds that is constantly running, and we can't express it enough, or we can't even explain it, when telling people what we're going through. So the best thing for us sometimes is that person that's just gonna listen to us. Am I right, Red? Just listen, because we'll blow off and just have a lot to say nonstop about any and everything, and it'll come at any moment. Have you had to deal with? Yes. So, because that, Red, I'm like that too.
Yes.
Brian, you see
I'm
my
like,
husband, he's shaking his head.
Where is this coming from? What? Okay.
But after that happens, Red, how do you feel? Because I know how I feel. It's like a, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, anytime I can just release all this stuff that's on in the inside, and that goes back to when I used to cut on myself and stuff like that. As soon as I'd cut on myself, I'd feel the release. And that's when I get all this stuff out. That's the same thing I feel, is that release. And I never knew I could do it.
In another way.
All I thought I could do is either take a bunch of pills. And one thing that I think, and I don't mean to get off track a little bit, but I just thought about it. But I've been going through mental health ever since I was young, at a young age. And once I started using alcohol and drugs, they diagnosed me with alcohol and drugs, not mental health. And it dang near killed me. Because what people at mental health fail to realize is that we're not using alcohol and drugs because we like to. We're using it because we want to feel different.
Exactly.
My God.
We want to feel a whole lot different than what we're feeling right now. And when I go to mental health and I say, I need help, and they say, well, do you use alcohol and drugs? And I say, yeah. They say, well, that's your problem.
No.
And see, all those years that I've been misdiagnosed with that it's like I said, it's almost killed me, because they don't realize why we use alcohol and drugs. They don't realize that we're dying inside. And the only thing keeping us alive is a drink or a drug, or the hope that the drugs and alcohol are going to kill us. Because I used to sit in meetings and they'd say, John, if you go back out, you're going to die. And I'd say, really? Okay. I'm going back out then.
Wow.
I mean, so, and another thing about the mental health, and I hope we get this straight, because I've called mental health numerous of times. And what happens is I call, they say, well, we'll get you an appointment in 2 months. Well, I'm dying today. I may not make it to 2 months. How many people have we lost in 2 months waiting for an appointment? For them to go in and do an evaluation, as soon as you say you got alcohol and drug problems, they put you off for 2 more months.
Exactly.
How many people have we lost that way because of that? And I remember when they did the cuts on mental health, and I've noticed how the world's gone since then. There's a lot of people committing suicide that don't have to.
And that's one of the reasons, like, I'm thankful that everyone came out to my event. That's why I do that, so that they see that there are other resources out there, because mental health, it is kind of backlogged, you know. And I had a young lady that was there too, and she said the exact 2 months for waiting for an appointment when I need help now. Yeah. So that is one of the goals that, you know, I'm working on too, with helping and finding other resources, because we're all in the same community, and where people they don't have to wait on mental health. And you know, you have the National Alliance for Mental Illness, different counselors that you can come out and see, or have same day appointments. And I think that's good that you said that, Red, so that people will understand. You know, if you go, and I'm gonna, this is just information right now, if you go to mental health and they're saying 2 months, go to your primary care physician and talk with them, and let them know that you're depressed, or you're just not feeling right. They can then see you right there for that and refer you to someone else in the mental health field, whether it be psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist. So I like to tell all of the people that I know, you know, don't just let mental health be your first stop. There are other avenues, and we need to get that information out to our community.
Right.
Well, not only that, also we as a race of color need to be more accepting of mental health issues. Not saying that someone is just crazy, they'll grow out of it, they're, you know, it's just it's a phase that they're going through, because a lot of us, we don't accept that.
And I think that's been generational, because back then, you know, we stayed in the house, we cooked, we cleaned, you know, we were supposed to be strong regardless of whatever was thrown at us. And I don't know if I said this at the event, but I thought about my grandmother, you all, when we were talking about that. And my grandmother was a single parent. She had 3 kids. She went through an abusive relationship. Her husband, her second husband, was abusive. She got out of that marriage, and she started drinking. Well, no one ever diagnosed her with depression or anything like that. But as I look at it as an adult now and have went through it myself, that alcohol was a coping mechanism for her, and that she was depressed. But back then, you didn't go. It was not allowed for you to go and say, well, hey, you know, I'm not feeling good. Something's not right. And that is something that we need to change in our community as well. Go out there, and I didn't have a problem. When I do my event, I suffer from mental illness, I suffer from depression, and I am diagnosed with PTSD. This is me. This is who I am. This is a part of me. So every day is a struggle.
I have a question for Cassandra.
Okay.
Cassandra, and I have a question. Well, it's not a question, but it may be a comment that you all can answer. Cassandra, I just wanted to ask you, how has or did it affect you in any way seeing Red go through what he went through? And at that time, I know you said that you were reaching out to him. Most women would have given up and walked away. What made you stay?
I think it was well, I know, I'm not going to say I think. I know it was a godsend because of the past relationship that I walked away from. I specifically asked God for a man to that would come into my life and
you can take the call.
Hi, you're on Pain to Purpose show.
Good morning, ladies. How you all doing? This is Tamara Hatcher out of Augusta, Georgia.
Hi, Tamar. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Hey, is there any questions you have for our guests while they were talking or speaking?
No, well, I just chimed in, so I didn't hear much. I was just trying to call in and support.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, good. Well, thank you for being here. We're talking with Red Martin and Cassandra Burgess. We're having a conversation on mental health, and he's telling his story. And right now, Miss Burgess was telling how their relationship evolved and him helping him through his mental health issues.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, Cassandra. Go. First time answering this phone is different.
I got you. So again, because of what I went through in my past relationship, I asked God specifically for a man that would treat me as if I'm the only person in the world. And that's what he did. He sent Red Martin to me in a way that I didn't think it was going to, like I said, evolve into a relationship.
Hello?
Every day is different with him. Every day is different. He just, I don't know.
Cassandra, I love the way you look at him.
It is. Look at all the love. It's
just
blushing without
different. It's different, and I absolutely love him.
Hey, girl, I wish I was there to give you a high five. That's amazing, Cassandra, and that says a lot about who you are as a woman. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, most women would have walked away after being pushed away. You know, but you stayed, and I thank God that you stayed because listening to what he said, you were also a source for him to help him get back on the right track, even though he didn't see it at the time. So I just thank God that you did not leave him because ain't no telling what could have happened had you walked away from him.
Right.
So I just pray that God just continue to strengthen y'all unity and continue to allow him to go forth worldwide to share his story because he has so much built up inside of him. And Red, you are here for a reason. You are here for a purpose. Because after everything that you said you done to yourself to try and take yourself out and it did not happen, then God has a purpose for you to be able to continue to push no matter what people say, no matter how many people are in your ear negatively. You have to tune those people out and learn how to use everything negative, even from the mental health standpoint, and use it as something positive so that you can, not only continue to help yourself grow, but also help somebody else grow. This is an amazing topic today. And Sheikah, I thank you so much for this topic because so many people are so, like myself, adults so dumbfounded to the true facts of what mental health is. I didn't know. And when I spoke at your event, I told you I didn't realize that I was going through mental health myself, because I thought what Cassandra said, it's a stigma put on it as being crazy. Mm-hmm. And I knew I wasn't crazy, so I didn't accept the fact that I was going through a mental health issue with depression and stuff. So, girl, thank you for this show. And
you're welcome.
Also, I have a question or maybe a comment. So, even children go through mental health issues. But the first thing they do is put them on some type of medication that makes them zoom out. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, my son was on Ritalin, and I had to make them take him off of Ritalin because it made him like zombie state. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So even in the classrooms, in the schools and different things like that, instead of properly diagnosing the students or our youth with proper diagnosis and mental health, they put them on this medication that's only minimizing, of the things that they're going through, only for a short period of time until you keep feeding them that medication. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about that right there? You are either Sheikah, Mr. Red.
Well, I have a friend, Katara Miller. She does a great poem about that. Excuse me, where she talks about her little brother and the fact that they thought he was crazy, so they put him on this medicine. And then it made him crazy. And she does a whole poem about it, how she lost her little brother through the same thing you're talking about. And I was put on medication when I was young. I never stayed around to take it. Never knew it was going to work or didn't work. So I would never take it. But in hindsight, if they would have put me on it, I probably wouldn't be the person I am today, because it would have made me a different person.
Right.
And I think that's what we fail to diagnose people with the right thing. Mm-hmm. We automatically give a medicine without talking. Mm-hmm. It's a whole lot easier to charge somebody $100 for a visit and give them a pill and sit down and listen to them for 59 minutes.
She could hit that bell. Because he's speaking truth. He's speaking truth.
So.
And I would agree with him, especially, looking at society and we are so quick to think that a pill is going to fix everything.
Right.
And with the youth now, I mean, they don't even realize, they suffer from seasonal depression, just like we adults would. So we actually really need to advocate and get to the root of the problem, as to why they're feeling that way. And sometimes with kids, that's going to take a little bit longer because of trust or talking to adults and actually telling them what's going on in their life so that they can be diagnosed correctly. So I think, as parents, caretakers of children, we need to take that proactive role in being there with the kids when they go to the doctors, what changes we notice at home, what they're doing, what they're saying, and that will help that process as well. And a lot of parents, we putting the kids on medicine. That doesn't have to be the first choice. Look at other options. Look at all your alternatives before, do the research before you actually say, yeah, put my child on medication. And that is something that I would advise strongly as well. And
I'm not putting mental health down with what I'm saying. I'm only speaking with my dealings with mental health. Mental health has helped plenty of people and will continue to help people every day. I'm just only talking about myself and what I've been through and some of the stuff what I see others go through. And so I'm not putting mental health down. I do know this, that if we put more money into mental health, we wouldn't be sitting here talking as much about what we're talking about today. We need to put the money back into where it's going to help people. Mm-hmm. And we're not putting that money back into mental health right now. We're not. Because it's easier to just push them away.
You're right. You're not putting mental health down, but it's the truth, and the truth has to be told. It's something lacking somewhere in that arena. Not to say that it's the whole mental health, But somewhere along the way, somebody has dropped that ball, and that ball needs to be picked back up again so that we can get people wholly healed whole. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Instead of like just giving them that pill and then just letting it go. So yeah, you're right. We're definitely not putting mental health down because we need mental health around. Mm-hmm. But I think it can be more done to help people who are suffering with mental health issues, such as, like Sheikah said, depression and so many other things. Sheikah, I would love to have them to come back.
Okay. I'll talk with them. I'm sure they wouldn't mind coming back, right, guys?
I wouldn't mind at all.
Well, while they're here too, there's something else that they have that's pretty awesome that's going on that I would like for them to discuss, that they allowed me to be a part of, and let the community know that this is out here and available. So, Red, Cassandra, if you all will let the audience know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Back in April, we started this thing where we go out. What had happened was me and Cassandra were taking food to some guys out there that had came to a treatment center type place where they help the guys get jobs, and they've been on alcohol and drugs, and they suffer from mental health issues. And we were taking food out to some of the guys out there, and we just sat in the car and talked about what we could do and what we should do. And she came up with this thing called Sunday dinner, and she presented it to me like this. She said, you know, my grandma, no matter what you was going through, if she cooked Sunday dinner, you would come, no matter what. So we started this thing called Sunday dinner. And what we do is we go out twice a month right now. We're hoping to get it every weekend, that we can go out and feed these people, the forgotten ones, the ones that people walk by in the street and are afraid to shake their hand because they think they're going to catch homelessness or something. And you're not going to catch homelessness by speaking to a homeless man or a homeless woman. So we go out and we give them this Sunday dinner. And what we've done is we brought the poets in, and the poets are in hope that if they're going through the same thing I went through, that the poets, when they're up there speaking their truth, that it's going to help somebody in that crowd. So on the 29th of July, we fed 160 guys.
Wow.
And we had a great Sunday dinner. And what had happened was, once me and her talked about it, we got excited, and we went to her auntie, Patricia Ann Gambrell. And all we had to do was tell her our concept, and she jumped aboard. She does all the cooking. She does everything. We get the food. We take in donations. We get the food. She cooks all the food for us, and we have people that come and help serve, and the poets come in, and now we've even gotten a comedian on board to give them something to laugh at. We have two phenomenal singers, her little cousin Tyler James, and he's 13 years old. Y'all have to hear this young man sing. That's who you need to get on the show. 13 years old, he can sing. He can sing. Take the I out. He can sing. Yeah. You sing in the choir, but when you sang, you on TV.
Okay.
But and then Jacquel Harrison, a friend of mine from Sumter, she's also our vocalist is what they call it, I guess. But we go out and we feed them, and next Sunday, August 19th, we'll be feeding the ladies, and we're hoping to have about 80 or 90 women come. And what we'll feed is fish. We'll have our menu is fish. We'll have hush puppies, baked beans, coleslaw, potato salad, and I always cook a ham for it. I always make a ham. No matter what we have on the menu, I always make that ham out of, and we'll just feed them, have the poetry, a lot of fun, fellowship, and like Sheikah said, she came and was involved in it, and it was great. She came in and spoke about mental health, and it was just an awesome time. And we love doing this. This is what it's making me a better person, because my hopes, because I was homeless and I walked these streets just like all these other people did, these guys that are out here and these women that are out here, I walk these streets too, and my hope is that no man, no woman, or child will ever have to eat out the same trash cans I used to eat out of.
My God.
That's where we're at with that. So
that is your purpose. That is your purpose. You see how your pain lined you up for your purpose? Yeah. Oh my goodness. You went from being homeless to now helping the homeless. I told you everything has a proper protocol leading you from your pain to your purpose. And it's because you did not give up in the midst of your pain that God has now birthed your purpose from your pain. Because what I like about it is we have to understand that no matter what we go through, God never wastes a hurt unless we let him waste a hurt. He can use every negativity thing that we have gone through, everything that has caused us pain, to lay awake at night, to cry, to want to give up. He can use all of that and birth something magically out of it. So I'm telling you, y'all are awesome. I can't, y'all got to come
back. Awesome. I'm so glad that I have met you and our paths crossed. It's been awesome. They are, Tangie. They're really awesome. One day, you and I get together and we'll go to Sunday dinner. I'll take you and we'll go.
Yeah, definitely.
It was very good. It was
August 19th.
Blessing.
Come on.
It was blessing.
So we got your plate.
And I think, y'all meeting Sheikah, that's an amazing thing because Sheikah is such a phenomenal person. Going through what she has gone through. I don't know if she told y'all about her book, The Chair. Yeah, I'm saying it. That book is going to bless so many people because looking at Sheikah, she doesn't look like what she have been through. God has definitely shielded her and has given her a great big-headed man by the name of Brian, who I love like my brother.
Look, he peeped out. You see him? He peeped out on camera for the first time, right? So you have to bully him to get out.
I just think God is going to do some amazing work between all of y'all.
Most definitely. Well, what I wanted to do now, I wanted to thank you guys for coming and sharing. I want you to give that information out one more time to everybody when the next one is coming up and where it will be.
The next one is August 19th at 4 o'clock at 111 Catalina Drive. We'll be serving the women. We'll have fish, hush puppies, baked beans, coleslaw, potato salad, and a ham with tea and lemonade. And hopefully, in the process, my sweetest thing that ever happened to me, and I'll tell everybody and anybody about it. Cassandra Burgess, she makes the best cheesecakes in a jar that you can ever imagine. She has 20 different flavors, and she makes them. And that's what also I want to get out there too, is she's a phenomenal crafter. And I'm just so grateful. God has truly blessed me. If I would have wrote God a letter and said, give me this person, I would have never imagined he would give me her.
I love it.
I know. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Hey, next week we got to come back and put them on how to find true love.
I know. That'll be our next segment with couple session. We already got them out. I'm going to get them up before they leave. So look. Yeah. See, she didn't even want to get on here and talk with me, and she's doing such a wonderful job. You know that?
Right.
So, yep. You'll be back, won't you?
Yes.
You all will be back, won't you? Okay, then. So they've already said yes, Tangie. We just got to give them a date.
Give me a date.
That's right. And Sheikah, make sure you let them know about my event coming up next Saturday after y'all leave the show or whatever.
Okay, I'll definitely let them know about that as well. What I wanted to do now was thank you all for coming by.
Yes, ma'am.
Giving all that wonderful information. If you have a moment, what I'd like for you to do too is tell people before you leave how they can reach you, whether it's your email, phone, Facebook, what information you want to give to our listeners, so that they can get in contact with you, or if they want to help your cause, Sunday dinner, how to get in touch and help with that. Can you all give me some information in the audience on that, please?
Yeah, we're on Facebook with Sunday Dinner with a Twist, and also you can follow me, REDD Martin, on Facebook. And I'll always post daily on something that Sunday dinner is happening. And we have a PayPal account. I don't know the information, but if you go to my page, it's on my page, and I can tag you. But I think you just go to PayPal and type in my name, and you can donate money to Sunday dinner. And we take all donations. The one thing that we really, really need is prayers, because God is all up in this thing, and I don't ever want to forget what God's done for me and what
Amen.
He's doing for us every day to provide these meals. And because one thing that we found out is that every time I don't think that we're going to have enough, we'll have too much. I mean, it's like I didn't think we was going to have enough green beans one weekend, and then there was too many green beans. I was like, where did God put them? And there was too many green beans. So it's just, it's God doing it, and we need the prayers, and we'll take donations, and we love the donations, but the prayers is where it's at. And it's a truly blessing. But, hey, can I do something before I leave? I've always wanted to do it. Y'all come back next week to Love, Peace, and Soul. I've always wanted to do that on TV.
I told y'all.
I can't get it out good. Okay. I want to thank you all from the bottom of my hearts for coming, and we definitely want to have you all back.
Oh, yeah.
I want to let listeners know we're going to take a break, a few minutes break, and then we'll have our second part of the show with our guest, Mr. G Butter himself. Okay, you all will be able to see the PayPal link in the comments for their dinner.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ned.
Thank you, Annette.
Listen, y'all. Before y'all go, I also want y'all to friend me on Facebook as well, because I also do a lot of events too that y'all can. I would love to have y'all to come and speak at as well. So Tangi Roseboro on Facebook, and I want to take this time to thank everybody who's tuned in. Jermaine just told me he invited the whole world. So we thank everybody for tuning in, and we pray that y'all continue to tune in as we move forward in the show.
Well, thank y'all for having us.
All right, we're gonna take a few moments break. Hi, and welcome back to Status Network, and we're on the Pain to Purpose show. For this next half hour, I have Mr. Zach Hogalini, which is Mr. G Butter himself. He's coming to the Pain to Purpose show today, and we're going to talk with him a little bit about his story and where he came from that brought him to where he is today. But first, I want to go back a little bit. I want him to introduce himself, give us a little bit of background, and then we're going to go from there.
Hey. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Jack Hogalino. She can always get my name messed up, y'all.
I do. I'm sorry.
It is what it is. Okay, my story is different. For the ones that know my story, cool. For the ones that don't, I'm going to give it to you raw. You already know how I do. Writer, author, editor, motivational
You wear a lot of
speaker.
hats. You wear a lot of hats. So yes,
A lot of hats.
let the audience know how you came into wearing those different hats.
I wasn't always a good guy. My life was the streets. My life was drugs. My life was prison. My life was bad guy. I came from a Christian background, a praying family, a grandmother that prayed me through a lot of things. You're talking about being grown at the age of 13. Loving everything about the streets. Loving everything about drugs. The lifestyle, period.
At 13.
At 13. And like I said, I came from a Christian background. My mother raised me right. Shout out to my mom's bacon. By the way, they call my mom's Miss G Butter. But we're going to get to that later.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the queen of the family. My mother raised me right.
Mm-hmm.
She raised me in church. She taught me to do right. She taught me to clean the house. I hated cleaning the house. To this day, I still hate cleaning the house. She taught me to do a lot of things that we overlook as we get older.
Such as?
I hate doing dishes. I hate cleaning the bathroom up. I don't like making my bed.
Okay.
Shout out to my wife. It's a lot of things that I don't like doing that my mother forced on me when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
And like as I got older, it's like I turn a blind eye to them. If I'm saying that right.
Was there a certain reason? You said you were brought up in a Christian home. So knowing that mother taught you right from wrong, good from bad, what transpired at an early age of 13 to where that background that you were raised in, you know, brought on to you? You said at 13 you were so?
Yeah. Okay. This is where it all took off. Being that I was always in the house with my mom and my sister. Well, this is before my sister was born. Actually, my sister was born. She's maybe 2. My family members, my uncles, my aunts, cousins, they were all in the streets. I was still young. My mother, it's like she would keep me closed in. She would protect me from
Sheltering.
Yeah,
basically.
from the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want me to grow up like the family member that I really didn't know. Okay, I knew my family, but I really didn't know exactly what it was that they were into. Mm-hmm. I just knew that they had money. They had a lot of women. Mm-hmm. And nice cars, and we dressed nice and stuff like that. And it's like
at 13 you wanted that?
I was nosy.
Okay.
I didn't want it.
You didn't want it,
but it was brought to me.
Oh, okay.
In my household.
Mm-hmm.
They would bring the streets to me.
Okay.
Like the uncles, the aunts, the cousins, right? Mm-hmm. They are who they are. Like, yeah, my mom's like, don't curse around my son. don't smoke weed in my house, don't drink, don't do this and that, blah, blah, blah. But these are your brothers and your sisters. At the end of the day, they're like, okay, sneak and do it. So they would bring it to me. So I sit back and I would watch the things that was taking place, like right before my eyes. And I learned from it.
Okay. So move me on a little bit. So you're 13 and you, now, get me right now. You were 13 and you're selling?
Well,
Or
at 13, I was, I think I started out breaking in cars. Shout out to my cousin. Shout out to my cousin, Paul. He gonna get me for this. But yeah, at 13, I think we started out, like breaking in cars. You know, my cousins, they would come to my house. Being that I was always stuck in the house, my uncle would come over. That was my age. My cousin, he was maybe a year older than us, whatever. They would come over from the other side of town to keep me company because I was stuck in the house. You're talking about being stuck in the house for whole summers.
Oh, okay.
If I do one thing wrong, this is my punishment. On top of getting beat up.
Look, the switch.
Yeah, Bay Kane used to
switch?
air me out. But they would bring the things to me. And one of the things that they brought to me at a young age was breaking in cars, not stealing them, but breaking in cars. You know how you have your car in the parking lot, packed parking lot. We might go to a train station or something. We might see a radio in there, maybe a car radio, a regular radio that you hold. Back in the day, you know they had in the 80s or the 70s, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, the pull-out cassettes. Like
no,
not those.
The handheld radios,
Oh,
the
okay.
boom boxes.
Boom boxes. Okay.
We steal them. You know, probably take them to a bar or something like that. Stand outside, get our money from it, go back to the house.
Okay. So at 13, moving on along, you got into other things, then you got caught.
Well,
correct?
I got caught when I got into the drugs. When
Now,
I got into the drug life.
did your mom, and knowing that how she raised you and what was going on, did she know what you were doing? Because I mean, I would assume did she talk to you? Did she know, first of all? That's my first question. Did she know?
Yeah, my mom eventually, she knew what was going on.
She come try to talk to you?
Yeah, although she was also, you know, I was raised in a Christian background, she fell into the streets as well.
Oh, okay. Oh.
A little later, she fell into the streets as well. Right? And being that she was in the streets and everybody in my family was in the streets, I felt like it was okay.
It was okay
to be in the streets.
Okay. Okay. So now I get you. I get you.
You know where I'm coming from?
I do.
But it was all good in the beginning. I had the good mom, prayed, went to church, cooked Sunday dinners, you know, all that stuff. Right? But dealing with different guys that, you know, my father was never around. So, you know, dealing with different guys that she was dealing with, they brought these things into her life. Because they brought these things into her life, my mom might get me for this too.
They were brought into your life.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. They were brought into my life.
Okay.
Right? And me trying to be the man that I felt her boyfriend wasn't. Right? Because you can't take care of my mother better than me.
Right.
This is how I'm thinking, even at 13. I have a sister now. Her father wasn't around. Well, he was around in the beginning, but eventually he left. So I got to raise my sister. I became my sister's dad. How do I take care of my sister? I'm not old enough to work.
You became the man of the house.
Exactly.
Okay, okay. So move us right along a little bit move us to the time where you say because what I want the audience to hear is the process. You know, you said earlier you were incarcerated.
Okay.
And then in the end now we're looking at, I know, a businessman, a author, just entrepreneurship, got
Yes.
a lot of stuff going on. So I want you to kind of get to that, you know, tell the audience what happened, you know, like you went, how long, or what were you in for, and how long did you stay?
Okay.
What happened to make those changes after that to get you where you are now? So that's kind of the story.
All right, so you want me to walk you through the prison, leaving prison, what took place when I came home from prison, and where I'm at now?
Where you are right now? Because I know you. I don't know if everybody else know you. I know you as Mr. G Butter himself.
Hey.
Hey, but telling that story. So you were incarcerated for how long?
Okay.
Was it a long time?
Yeah, I did a lot of time in prison.
Mm-hmm.
How much time do we got first? So I make sure I can give it to you. Okay, we got about 40 minutes, right?
Right.
All right, I'm gonna give it to you, bro.
Well, but
I wanna make
get,
sure.
we gonna have to, because I want you to be able to get your stuff out and all your information for people like that. So, you know, like, how long were you in?
Okay, I did like what?
Did you go in
Which
and out?
one?
Oh, okay. So there were so like, just give me you out of your lifetime, you did like 10 years?
Over 20 years.
No,
You're talking about 6 years, 7.5 to 3 here. Over 20 years.
Okay, so what was it that when you kept doing it, what was it after that last time where that made you, hey, I'm not gonna continue to do this. I'm not going back to prison anymore. I mean, there had to be some kind of shift in your mindset or a change. You know what I'm saying? So take me there then.
This last bid, after realizing how much time I was facing, you know, I was facing 85 years. This last bid, I don't know where to begin. I don't know where it's going to end. You're talking about 85. That's more than a lifetime. I was facing all this time. I'm stuck in the gang unit. I'm in the gang unit 6 years of my life. I'm surrounded by the monsters. I'm thinking I'm a monster in the street. I'm surrounded by the real killers, the real gangsters, the real money getters, the nonchalant thinkers. Mm-hmm. Like they have nothing to lose. Mm-hmm. And being that I'm around them, I feel like I have nothing to lose as well because I'm facing all this time. They already got their time. I'm facing the time. Mm-hmm. I see people, it's like I wake up in the morning, they let us out one at a time in the gang unit. This probably take a couple minutes. They let us out one at a time in the gang unit. Mm-hmm. The guy next to me, door open. I'm patiently waiting for him to come out and get his shower so I could take my shower. Bang, bang, bang. No answer. Bang, bang, bang. Yo, bro, you getting in the shower? No answer. Close his door, let me, I'm going to the room like, yo, what's going on? Look, he's sitting there hanging.
No.
That's just one of the many things that I experienced back there. I can take you through a million of them, mm-hmm. right? But it's stuff like that I would see that would make me realize, like, hold up, is this where you really want to be? Mm-hmm. Like, this is your reality, but is this where you really want to be? Mm-hmm. Nah. What I did, because when I first got to the gang unit, I wasn't the gang member. Mm-hmm. I was sent back there by mistake. I thought it was a mistake anyway. When I got back there, I later learned that it wasn't a mistake. But I wasn't the gang member. But I was surrounded by all gang members. Mm-hmm. I used to get in those situations because we wasn't into the same thing. You know, fights, stabbings, a lot of things that had to take place in order for me to even make it out of that situation. Mm-hmm.
And right? But you did. You made it out of that situation.
Yeah. But while I was there, I started writing about my life. This is how I kept my sanity. I started
outlet.
You feel me? I started jotting different things down on paper. Mm-hmm. I started letting different people read it. They was coming to me like, hold up, man, you got a book here. I'm like, they're like, what you gonna do with it? I'm like, I'm just writing. This one guy came to me, this young boy. He said, he's like, Zach, what you doing, man? You always in the room writing. I'm like, I'm going through something with my ex. This is my ex-wife, my children's mother. I'm going through something with my ex. Why, what's up? He said, so I said, well, I'm writing about it. He's like, oh, man, I'm going through something with my ex too, man. Man, she talking about leaving me. She talking about I'm never going to amount to anything. She talking about a lot of nonsense, but it was real, right? I was writing poetry too. I also do poetry. So I'm looking at him, right? I'm listening to him, and I can see the pain in his eyes, and I can hear what he's telling me. So I'm like, I think I can help him. I put something together. I'm like, here, bro, send that to your lady, right? He said, hold, no, before I gave him the paper, before I gave him the poetry, he said, here, I want you to read something. I read it. It's like, we love you. We can't wait for you to come home. I'm like, wow, he just said that his wife talking about leaving him. I'm like,
That didn't sound like that.
it didn't sound right. I gave him the poetry. He took the poetry. He's like, oh, man, thanks. He mailed it out. I guess he rewrote it. He mailed it out to his lady. The next week, week or two later, he came back. He's like, man, now she talking, I need to kill myself. My kids don't love me and this and that. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, wow. He said, here, read this. I read the letter. The letter said, yeah, the parole lady came to the house. You're about to come home, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? He just said that she talking about he need to kill himself and the kids don't love him. Long story short, couldn't find out he couldn't read and write.
No. Oh.
You see where I'm coming from?
Okay.
So he leaned to his own understanding.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
I helped him fix that. I was writing his letters. I was keeping a line of communication open with him and his wife and his family. I'm thinking that I was in the gang unit by mistake. Right?
Yeah.
But God saw something else. I chase God for the ones that don't know. That's what I do. You see where I'm coming from? But God saw something else. He needed me back there to help guys like that. Okay. Because it's a lot of them that get back there, right? And they get involved in them gangs and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. And they feel like that's what they got to do because they're there.
Mm-hmm. So you were like an outlet for those and helping those learn to read or write, help them, change their thinking. Their thinking. Mm-hmm. Okay.
The process.
Okay, the process.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, is that, and everybody knows now you said you're an author, was that the shift?
That, I think, well, it wasn't the book called The Shift, but maybe it was the shift.
Okay, because I was kind of thinking, well, was that your shift? Okay.
Maybe it was the shift.
Okay. So then, after seeing that you could possibly do up to 85, and that didn't happen, so you didn't have to do that, and now you're out, and you're in society. Tell me how that worked, for you when you first got out, getting a job and everything that was harder. Where did it come to the point where you felt like, hey, I'm finna try this entrepreneur stuff. I need to talk to these young men. I need to let them hear my story so that they don't go through what I went through, and letting them see, well, this is what I'm doing now. So you can change. You can,
Got you.
So
okay, so when I first came home, I think it was maybe 2013, I came home. My plan was to come home to my mom's house. All her brothers and sisters, like whenever they go to prison or whenever they get homeless, they come home to my mother. My mother's like the granny to the family. Mm-hmm. Like she raised their kids, she babysit, she do this and that. Mm-hmm. So I'm figuring like, okay, I'm coming home to my mom's house. Mm-hmm. I put my parole package together and everything. Mom denied me. She like, nah, you're not coming here.
Really?
And I'm like, huh? Yeah, I'm talking about you right now, Big Can. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But anyway, she gonna get me later. But it's real. One before I continue. I'm giving it to y'all the way I'm giving it to you because my mother said it was okay. Mm-hmm. She said, listen, tell them your story. And she told me that when I first came home, when she first realized what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. Right? Tell your story
yeah.
so that it will encourage. Yeah,
but
you
anyway,
have to tell it.
Yeah. So I came home. Mom denied me my parole package. I tried a family member. She said I can come there, but it was time for me to come. She denied it. I'm like, wow. While I was still locked up, I didn't know what other way to turn. So I begged for my life from God. This while I was still locked up. Mm-hmm. And some things started changing. That's how I got up out of that situation. It wasn't my work. I blame it all on God. But anyway, I came home. This is 2013. Nobody would let me in, so I checked into a shelter.
Okay.
While I was in the shelter, this is after the halfway house. I checked into a shelter. Mm-hmm. While I was in the shelter, they used to force us to go to meetings, NA meetings, alcoholic meetings, AA meetings, mm-hmm. And any type of meeting that you can get your hands on. They said, listen, we want you to be a part of that. I started going to meetings, and I was being forced to look at myself. Everything I put on the table was challenged. I realized that I in charge. I wasn't always right. I had to sit back. I had to listen in order to learn. You see what I'm saying? These meetings taught me stuff like that. While I was going to the meetings, I was still writing. I used to run up in this library in East Orange. While I was in the library, this guy came to me. He was like, no, this is why I was in the halfway house. I'm sorry, y'all.
You okay?
While I was in the halfway house, this guy came to me. He said, listen, you need to get these books published.
So at that time, you had a bunch of different writings where you had different books. You had been writing that much.
Yeah, I was writing about my situation there. It's like, I don't know if anybody else do this, but I can work on like 2 or 3 books at a time.
Wow.
And my wife says it's amazing, but it's like, it comes like second nature to me.
Okay.
Like, I might be going through something right now. I'm writing a book, but I'm going through something else. As I'm writing this book, I put that book to the side. As soon as I get what you call it, writer's block.
Writer's block.
I'll go to another book.
Okay, so it's something that you said previously when you said God, when you were about God and you blame Him, you're giving Him the praise, you know, because it was Him that helped you get out of that situation. Well, going back where you say you were raised in a Christian home, but then you got into, you know, the gang life or whatever, and you say the streets, and then back God. So during that time in prison or when you were out, would you say that your relationship with God changed? Like, were you seeking Him more when you got out? I mean, did that relationship with Him changed? I would assume. Is that what you're saying too? When you say, well, I blame it on Him.
Well, it actually changed while I was still in there.
Okay.
I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know who to turn to. I was just turning to my writing. Like, my writing was my mental masseuse, but I feel like something was missing. And I'm still facing this time. I'm like, the only person that can help me out of this is God. I start praying. I start doing what my mother and my grandmother
had always told you
was
to do.
teaching me when I was younger. Meanwhile, my grandmother was always praying for me. My other grandmother was always praying for me. My mother's pastor, Pastor Bellamy, shout out Pastor Bellamy, was always praying for me.
Okay.
Like, these are the people that was keeping me afloat on top of God doing what He does for me.
Okay. All right. So then when you say you had your books, you were at the library, when did you go and publish your first book? I mean, at that time when you were in the library and you had all these, they weren't published at that time, correct?
No, they was just writings on paper.
They were just writings.
Prison paper.
So you call it prison paper. Okay, so what happened? Like, when was that day where you, like, you know, everything changed? You was like, I'm going to publish these books. I'm going to become an author. I'm going to put all that, you know, my past life behind me, and I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to start here.
Okay, I was stuck in the halfway. Hopefully I didn't cut you off.
No, you good.
Yeah, you know I do that a lot.
Yeah, okay.
I was stuck in the halfway house. I felt like I was stuck because I couldn't do what I wanted to do. You only time you can leave out is when you put a pack of to and from. Like, you have to let them know where you're going. You have to let them know what time you're going to be there. You have to let them know how long you're going to be there. You know, things of that nature. So I would always, when I didn't have nowhere else to go, after the meetings and stuff like that, I would go to the library. I didn't go there to work on my books. I went there because I wanted to meet different females. I was locked up. You see how I'm coming from?
Oh, okay. So okay.
But while I was there, I would take my books with me. I didn't see no females. I work on my book. So this guy came to me. I was still in the halfway. The guy came to me. He's like, man, you know you could publish these? I'm like, what you mean? He said, I'm going to show you how. Shout out to Mr. Cheeks. His name was Mr. Cheeks. He's a coach for a football team in Newark, New Jersey. But anyway, he said, you could publish these. I'm like, how do I do that? He walked me through everything. He walked me through, so it's like, he walked me through editing, the graphic designs. Okay. He walked me through the soft cover hawk, everything. He took me to the website I had to go to. And I published my first book. I think my first book was called Daddy Gone Wild. And I'm going to tell you about Daddy Gone Wild. It's going to be brief, though. while I was locked up, the years I was locked up, I thought I knew my children. I thought my children knew me, right? As I was writing different it was a book of poetry. As I was writing different events in this book of poetry, right? I realized that I really didn't know my children. So I start crying out to my children. You talking about the father I wasn't to my children. You talking about who I thought I was in the streets. You talking about who I became in prison.
So it became a self-reflection. You had to sit there and kind of reflect on who you really were. And that brought about that change of who you wanted to be.
Exactly.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay.
That book of poetry right there is what I think changed my life.
That one book. Okay.
Because it forced me to look at me.
Okay. And I think that is sometimes, you know, we can be our worst hypocrites, but at the same time, that self-reflection is so important for us to move to that next step when we're elevating to who and where we need to be in life. Sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow, you know.
I know that's right.
What they say, I can't remember how many fingers y'all I go, 3 point net, 1 point net, 3 point net you had.
Oh, point one, 3 point back at you.
Yeah, that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. Okay, so Tan, do you have any questions or anything you want to add?
Hey, Tangy. Shout out to Tangy, y'all. Love being here.
She's leading you up to the point to where you are now, but y'all know, of course, time winding down. So my question to you is, Sheikah done said it, but I'm gonna reiterate it. When did that light bulb come out to say, hey, now I need to start focusing on doing something different than I was doing before so that I can, you know, stop going backwards and continue to move forward? Because now I know you're an author, you have your Shea Butter business going on, you're going out doing motivational speaking, you're on the Pain of Purpose show now, you've been on here like twice, 3 times or something like that. So tell the audience, like, how did your pain that you was going through, how did that become your purpose of what you're doing now?
Me going through what I went through, being denied to move into my mother's house, is where I realized it's time to change some things. When mom say no, after she been saying yes for so many years to so many different things, you look at it like, hold up. Something's not right here. And then she explained it to me. She was like, you in the streets, that's what you do. If you in the streets, you bringing them drugs in my house. And I'm sitting back like, but Mom, I would never do that to you. That's what you do. I knew I had to change some things. I knew I had to try another route, right? And the entrepreneur thing with the books, and you know, the butters, we haven't even gotten to the butters yet. But with the books and the butters, I was never a 9-to-5 type of guy if I was hired. Right? If I was hired. Right? Because everybody don't want you working in the establishment with that record. I don't care what they say. They don't care about that insurance that you can get. What's the insurance called?
The bonding.
The bond. They don't care about that. They trying to protect what they got now. And I had to learn that the hard way. But for the ones that did hire me, I wasn't too good with the 9-to-5. I'm not going to be stuck in the warehouse. I'm not going to be stuck in the back of a truck. I'm not going to be stuck in your restaurant. I'm going to eat all your food. It's a lot of things that I'm not going to do. You see what I'm saying? So I had to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
I had no other choice.
So is this what you're doing full time? Is this your job, what you're doing now, your books, your Shea Butter and all of that? Or is there anything else that you have added that we don't know about?
I know, right? Is he doing something now that we don't know about?
Hey, Tangy, listen. I'm going to tell you what the young boys call me in the A. They call me Hustle.
All right, I can believe it.
I believe that too, Tangy.
The businessmen call me Jack Hogolino. Jack Hogolino's not my name. That's the name of my company. Jack Hogolino is a character in probably 15 of my books, 20 of my books. I have a bunch of books written, right? Jack Hogolino is what the business like minds call me, right? But the young boys call me Hustle. I do everything. Everything legal. I have a store now.
Yeah.
I sell the books. Really sell themselves now. I don't even push the books like that no more. I came into this thing called exotic body and beard butters. Let me tell you about the exotic body and beard
I'm
butters.
looking to see.
You feel me?
I'm looking.
I have a little bag.
Ah.
I was trying to keep them stash, just let them sit for a while until we really get into the butters. But I'm gonna tell you something.
Zach,
Yes, talk
before
to me.
you get to your butter, can you tell me this? With everything that you have gone through and what you're doing now, when did your wife come into play with all of this? Like, when did you make up your mind to say, you know what, I'm husband material? Because I mean, back then, now you was out there doing your thing, and then you went to prison. But then we jumped to what you're doing now. So when did she come into play?
My wife. Yes, I'm married too, y'all. I knew my wife 30 years. She was always in a situation. I call it the situation. I was always in a situation, but we was always connected. We both were in the streets. She was in the streets in the house. Did I say that right? She used to sell drugs at her house. I was in the streets. I had all the drugs you could think of. Always had them with me. I would go to her house, knock on her door. She sold the weed, right? Do you have any weed? Yeah, what you need? I'm looking around, see if her boyfriend in there, right? She sell me the weed. I probably would try to touch her or something, you know, just touch her. Just wanted to touch her. I go back to the house, to the car, right? And I got the bag that I just bought from her, the 2 bags of weed I just bought from her, I just put it in the stash with all the rest of the weed I got, a bunch of it.
Oh, that was just an excuse to get over to the house.
That was just an excuse to get to the house.
I heard that. That was just
That's
an
crazy,
excuse.
right? You see the way that we think, right? And we haven't seen each other for a while. Mm-hmm. We reconnected. How did we reconnect? I was going through something with an ex of mine. She was single. Hope you were single. She was single. I was going through something with an ex of mine, and we bumped heads.
Okay.
We started kicking it, you know, throwing the ball back and forth about our past life, and we started going to church together. And we got married.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
We've been married ever since.
Awesome.
Well, honey, I love your wife, Miss Sherry. Shout out to Miss Sherry
Hey,
Hoagland.
Sherry.
Shout out to my wife.
Hoagland. So, but that's amazing. I think you have an amazing testimony as well. So just keep on sharing it. You know, she could want it. She could like, I gotta get that.
Shout out to Sheik. Shout out to Tangi.
Yeah, his story.
I love when y'all have me here.
His story is real. Like when we had a conversation where he was talking with the young men, and with things that are going on in today's society, I think that is much needed. You need someone with that realness to go out there and, you know, tell their story and see what it's like, you know, so that they don't make the same decisions and choices that we made. Look at us as, you know, as examples. And that's what I was telling him, why I wanted him to actually come on the show and let these young men know, you know, there are other ways out there. Even if you're doing it now, tell them they can stop today and become an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm.
That's right. No other choice. Look, you have no other. Listen, in Georgia, especially in Georgia, what it's like seven something. I don't even know the minimum wage. About $7. $7 couldn't even buy me no toothpaste.
Mm-hmm. So, like, if you had like the guys or the gentlemen listening, you know, right now on the show, and you know they're wanting to get out of that street life. And they want to do what would you tell them? Like, what would you tell them? You know, someone came to you, I'm done with it. I'm finished. I need to do something else. What would you tell them?
The best advice I can give a young man that's trying to come out the street life is turn a blind eye to your peers, right? You have to overlook what they're doing, what they're saying. Whatever they got going on, okay, that's them, right? And you have to focus on you. You have to give you a chance. You got to tell yourself, like, listen, it's about me right now, self. We got to make this happen. They already doing what they do. And like a lot of times we see what they doing and we think it's cool because they didn't get caught yet. You got some that's been in the streets a whole lifetime and never been to jail. I met them. Never been to jail. I look at them like, bro, listen, man.
But one day, that one day might be tomorrow or 2 days from now.
What? And that one day, right, being that you've been, because this is how they play. If they know you out there playing in the streets and they can't catch you, when they get you, they gonna get you. And when I mean get you, they gonna finish you.
So you're saying,
that's the truth.
Yeah, and that is, so with our young men out there, you are an example. You're an author, a speaker. You have butters, oils, a whole line of smell good. Y'all have to try Take Me.
And I'm out.
You out. Look,
Girl,
I'm hoping these.
I done scrubbed the tub.
Look, I'm hoping these. Look, some gifts. I saw a bag. He came in where I was like, ooh, what is that? But just letting them know that, hey, there's another way out here. If I can do it, you can do it too. That motivation, that empowering them. Hey man, look, the streets, they don't have anything to offer. You
Nothing.
And that is the message that you and I talked about, and I think that is so good that you're out here trying to reach these young men and using yourself as that example, showing and telling them that.
Usually when a lot of the young boys that come to me, right? They don't know why they come to me, but I let them know.
God sent them.
They think it's about look, they think it's about this butter. A lot of them, they like that G butter, right? They think it's about I sell clothes and stuff too. Clothes for the young. I mean, the old too, but a lot of the young boys, they like the designer clothes I sell. Right? It's all in my store. Like I move that type of stuff. They think it's about the clothes or the watch I'm going to sell them, or maybe a belt or something like that I'm going to sell them. Once I get them to me, then I give it to them. I give them my story. A lot of them are mind blown, right? But then they look at me now. I'm like, listen, that's my story. Maybe your story's worse than mine. Look at my story. Watch how I move. And just know that it can happen. A lot of them feel like it can't happen, especially after that first conviction. You feel like because you've been to prison, don't nobody really want you around them. Not even talking about a job. Don't nobody even want you around them. Man, you've been to prison. You ain't come to my house. Nah, I ain't going out to eat with you. You're not going to... It's a lot of things that they feel like you're not going to do. Or even if... it's a lot of things that they feel that you can't do. And even if you can do it, that you're not going to do.
Because of what they've done or been
Exactly.
through.
Because of that lifestyle that you've been living for a whole life.
But you let them know that shouldn't hold them back.
Oh, yeah. Every time. I don't sugarcoat it with them. Nope. A lot of them, like, they run from me. Like, when you come and talk to me, when we have a sit down, you're going to get it raw. I'm not going to laugh at your corny jokes. Nope. If they're corny, you're corny. Like, your joke is corny. Nope, I'm not laughing. Right? I'm not going to be something else. I'm not just to be your friend or just to be close to you.
And your reason, like you say, with being real and talking with them is to actually, you're trying to put that spark in there about changing their mindset and actually mentoring to them to help them get off of those streets and start doing that. You ever had them, they come back and tell you thank you? Ever had talks with any of your mentees and they've come back and talked with you, or you've seen changes and stuff?
They come to me all the time with updates, right? And even when they don't come to me with updates on their life, they will let me know what happened to such and such, right?
So that lets you know, but they're still coming to you. So they want to talk to you. Yeah, that's their confirmation.
Yep.
That you've reached them. Right.
They definitely come to me.
Okay, that's good. I want you to tell everybody, because we're going to be slowing down, winding down from in here, what you have on the table and how did that come about real quick before we leave today.
All right. I'm going to make it brief, y'all. Shout out to Tangy. Tangy looking at these butters like, I know one of them mine.
That's what I said. Look.
That's the me.
Listen, I got one for you, Tangy. Listen, okay, so y'all know my story. I haven't been in my kids' life probably their whole life. I probably spent a year or two in their lives. So I really didn't know my kids. I came home and realized my middle daughter had eczema. She had the shout out to my baby, love you, Dee. She had the alligator skin. They crack and bleed in the wintertime.
Oh, okay.
Right? I'm looking at her. I didn't know what to do. I'm buying her lotions. She's spending her own money on the lotions. You talking about $30, $40 for them bottles, right? I looked at what she was using. I got that ingredient off of there. I Googled how to make this, right? But I just put a twist on it. I got that ingredient. I added my ingredients to the ingredient. I added my solution to the ingredients that was on that bottle. I whipped it up. You talking about maybe 3-4 hours to make one batch, right? I sent it to her. I let my wife try it. I let my stepdaughters try it, and everybody loved it. They start calling me. I'm talking about from everywhere for these butters. The same way I was moving my books in the streets at the trunk of my car or my truck, I started moving my butters. The same people that was buying my books, they start coming to me for these butters. The same young boys that was coming to me for my story, they start coming for something called G butter. See this right here? This G butter. I had to make the tag real big so you can see it. But G butter, they call it, young boys call it gangster butters. Look, gangster butter. The God bodies call it God butter. I'm dead serious. If you go on my page, you'll see. The elders call it grown man stuff.
Okay.
They might curse though.
Oh, okay.
They love this butter. You talking about discoloration, stretch marks, dry skin, eczema. And for your hair, for the ladies, we got Tasty too. You ever seen pink shea butter?
No.
Pink shea butter. I make this. You can only get this from me. If you get it from anybody else, they got it from me. We talking about
okay,
pink
so
shea
give
butter.
us how we can get it, cause time winding now.
All right, y'all, they rushed me off the show now. Listen, my website, it probably done rolled across your timeline 1,000 times. If not, don't worry about it. I got you. JACKHOAGALINO.com. Jack Hogalino. Or you can call my direct line. I plays no game. 732-309-0208. You can visit my store, 4525 Glenwood Road, Decatur, Georgia. Go up in there and ask for Mr. Shea Butter. Ask for Mr. G Butter. Ask for the guy that make them exotic body and bed butters. But listen, let me tell you about your hair for the ladies. I'm going to tell you what this Tasty do for your hair. You talking about softening it up? You talking about shining it up? You talking about filling it out? And it smell like something?
Ding, ding.
You feel me? I just released my first infomercial too.
Oh, okay.
Facts. Go on YouTube and punch in Jack Hogalino. JACKHOAGALINO. And that's for all my other butters except G Butter. I have 27 flavors. I'm in 19 states and 2 countries. Like we're not playing.
That's
Whole
awesome.
other wave. And I blame it all on
so
God.
So I'm gonna order mine today, unless you're gonna give me some today.
I know. I was thinking. I'm hoping that these right here sitting on the table.
This is what we gonna do. We gonna buy one, get one free.
Oh, look at you. Okay,
You
well,
feel
send
me?
my free one. I'm gonna pay for mine. How can I pay for it on the website? Y'all listen, for real. It's some good shea butter. I use mine faithfully every day because I have real bad dry skin.
Just look at her skin. Look at her skin, y'all.
I put that shea butter on the bottom of my face. Oh my God, y'all, they look brand new. And on my legs. It's really good. It's really good. And I was hoping I got a chance to see you or talk to you so that I could put another order in because it's really good stuff.
And he also has the black soap, which my son was using for acne. That really, I mean, because he told me, he's like, try this and don't send him to the dermatologist. And lo and behold, like Brian, it was like you could tell the difference the next day, couldn't you? So we ordered some of that. Wow. So that is another good product that he has as well.
Wow, I wish there was a way that I can I could have let the audience see the infomercial because you will see the reviews. You know, reviews don't lie. A lot of people when they first meet you, they want to know who's been using it.
Well, guess what? We can work that out. We can get that on the next show. Send it to us. We can have we can have it played on the show, a commercial.
Got you.
You want that done?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
And I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
But I know we don't never have enough time for you, Zach, because you got so much going on, man. You don't went from gangster in the street to prison to entrepreneurship to an author. I mean, you got so much going on. So we never have enough time. We're going to have to do a 2-hour show with Zach.
Yeah, and just, yes. He get one of those long ones down because he got something. Look, next time we invite him, he'll be done adding something else to the line.
Yeah, he'll be done
clothes.
Something else.
Yeah, something.
I'm already working on something.
Oh,
but we really thank you, though,
whole nother wave.
for being a guest on the show. Can you give the people your contact information again?
Jack Cogolino. You want to go to your Google? Just punch in Jack Cogolino. JackHogalino.com. My direct line is 732-309-0208. Or you can contact the Pain to Purpose radio show.
That's
Hey.
right.
Yep.
That's right, because we will definitely put the information out for you. And again, Sheikah, before we go, I just want to tell everybody about the event that's coming up Saturday in Gaffney. Zach, I wish I had gotten you to come and be a vendor at the event. This is going to be it's my Women of Strength event that's being hosted August the 18th in Gaffney at the Senior Center. I'm going to be honoring, I think, 34 people, 12 men and the rest women in various categories, from lupus survivors, domestic violence survivors, business owners, men of honor, community advocates. This is something that God placed in my heart to do, to give back to the people who have gone through and still going through, but yet persevering to become better, within themselves. So that's going to be an amazing event. We have praise dancers, we have singers, we have Florida flavor rate models from Florida coming down to model. So it's going to be a very big event, and I'm excited about it. So if you want to come, everybody that's listening, that's this Saturday coming from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. in Gaffney, South Carolina, 499 West Rutledge Avenue. Contact me on Facebook for your tickets to get in. Sheikah's going to be speaking on mental health. I'm so excited about that, and I can't wait to get Cassandra and Red involved as well for the next one. And you too, Zach.
Okay.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Well, I just wanted to tell everybody thank you for being on the show. This was an awesome show. Everybody's story, very uplifting. Everybody has given their contact information, but if you all happen to miss that and need to get it, get in touch with Tangi and we'll make sure that you're able to get in touch with them. I just want to thank everybody for the show. I have I don't really, other than the Women of Strength movement coming up, which I'll be speaking at, I have that coming up, a book about to be released, and working on getting a girl circle group, which you can find that information out on my page. But other than that, I just want to thank everybody. I think we had an awesome show. What do y'all think?
We did.
I think we had a good show, and I thank you everybody for telling their story.
Thank you, Sheikah. Thank you for being there in my absence, as well as, because when we double team, we double team.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah.
Well, we still
y'all
double
look good
team
on TV. Thank you, Annette. Y'all look good on TV. But again, I say thank you to everybody as well, Sheikah, and y'all drive safe going back home.
All right, then.
I want to thank y'all for having me as well.
All right, then.
It's
well,
always a
thank
pleasure.
you. And that'll round up this session of the Pain to Purpose show. We're on every third Saturday of the month. So we hope to see you all next month. All right, everybody have a good afternoon. Bye.
Hey, G Butter, Jack Cogolino.